Well, fall means Thanksgiving and Halloween, and of course, we're trying to create a little bit of atmosphere here at our studio gardens as well, and we've done that by decorating our mailbox planter. And this is one of the favorite parts of our studio gardens, and we get a lot of comments about the planter, but some people were concerned about what we might do during the off season. Well, really, there's no off season at all. You can see we've pulled out our blue days and we've decorated it here with the fall colors, and we're using a little bit of the ornamental cabbage here, which gives us a nice contrast in color with some of the pumpkins and gourds. And then we're tying in our colors here with some of the pansies, and those colors are just absolutely breathtaking, and they really make a nice transition here. And really, it's a great color contrast, but we think of these types of crops in the fall, but let me show you one down here that we've used at the base, which is related to the flowering cabbage, but this is a flowering kale. And this variety is called peacock, and you'll see the nice feathery or lacy foliage, and it's real attractive here in our barrel. Now on this side of our mailbox, we're doing a little bit different color contrast. We're using also flowering kale, but it's a different type foliage texture with the white variegation and some of our orange pumpkins, but we've added a little bit more flavor with some of the webbing and of course our spider there. And there's lots to do, and it's a great way to get the kids involved too. And now we want you to get your kids involved and come with us, and we'll show you how our pumpkins are doing on our trellis vine. Pumpkins require an awful lot of space to grow, but you can see that you can do it in a raised bed, growing them vertically using a trellis. And we've got a lot of weight here, and the cattle panel is even starting to sway a little bit, so we may have to give it some more protection. And now that our pumpkins are getting a little bit larger, we've also put the pantyhose on here as a sling to kind of keep them from putting any pressure on the stem and falling off. Now this is the Cinderella pumpkin, and this is really the one that was developed or patterned after the story Cinderella for the carriage. And this one is really ready to harvest, and the way that you can tell on pumpkins is obviously you want to keep records of the days from planting to harvest, but the stem will start drying up. You can also do the fingernail test, and if you don't leave an impression, the rind is pretty hard, and then you'll notice the color change. This one's turning a lot different colors and a darker orange compared to the other. So you want to make sure you harvest your pumpkins with a stem on it, and then you can see what we've got here. And now let's go take a look, and I'll show you some other ways to use pumpkins here for Halloween as well. Well, kids both young and old really enjoy decorating pumpkins, and the most traditional way is by carving the jack-o'-lanterns or the pumpkins, and usually that's done with adult supervision or even done by the adults themselves. But if you really want to get the kids involved, there's some alternative ways, and it's a lot of fun, and the kids can really use their imagination. And one of the latest fads seems to be painting pumpkins, and again, imagination and the sky is just the limit, but you'd use acrylic type paints, and when you paint on them like this, the pumpkins will actually last a little bit longer too. And then kids really seem to enjoy the stickers. And of course, manufacturers have pretty much adapted to that and caught on, and so now the smaller kids can get involved, and you can find these stickers and just pick those up at any of the stores. And again, there's some great faces, and you can use those on the pumpkins. And an alternative to using pumpkins might even be some unusual things that you can grow in the garden this time of year too. Now remember, we planted a fall garden with some yellow zucchini squash, and that's a summer squash, and we've allowed one to get pretty good size, and zucchini has a tendency to take over anyway. So we've painted one up here. We've used one of our loofah gourds before it was ripe. And also we've used a gourd that we had in the garden from last year, and you can carve in those and paint on them too. Now if you do any carving, make sure that you save the seeds, the insides, because the wildlife and birds enjoy those this time of year. So that way you can recycle all of the different parts. And you probably noticed when I put the pumpkin down here, this one below it's pretty good size. We estimated it probably around 75 pounds. And just in case you're wondering, last year the world record was 816.5 pounds for a pumpkin. So you can tell this one's pretty small even compared to the world record. And we'd like to thank our favorite pumpkin farmer, Mr. Bob Constein, at Perkins, Oklahoma for supplying some of our pumpkins. And again, he has a lot of fun with them, and we've had a lot of fun with them at the gardens too. And I hope that you'll also have a lot of fun with pumpkin and different alternatives this season, and also have a very safe and happy Halloween.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.